Okay, so this is my research project number 4 for Art History 2710. And my video, I wanted to do it about what did Jesus Christ look like because I thought it would be an interesting subject. So here's, oh man, my video isn't showing up. I had a video. It's by Hank Green, one of the Crash Course authors from the Education channel that I kind of grew up with in the 2000s. On his own channel, he did his own little research project on what it was for fun, and it's a really good video. I highly recommend, and I'll add it in on it's one of my main sources, so that's cool. Um, but oh, there it is. It shows up later. I'm getting used to this new format, but it's good. I'm not going to play it. Hopefully, it doesn't play by itself because it is like 20 minutes long, but it is really good. Okay, so here is what I kind of wanted to look like is this Jesus art depictions from our time period, prehistoric Gothic. It didn't start prehistoric. It started, of course, um, a lot later than like our earliest work because Jesus lived around the first century, but here's some like neat stuff. I got my little laser pointer out, so that's cool. Christian art is what I'm looking at, and it didn't really start until somewhere from the late second century to the early fourth. We didn't have a lot before that, even though Christianity had been around before that. Art wasn't really a thing. I mean, there was a lot of legal restrictions. It wasn't a popular religion. Um, uh, Roman governments wouldn't allow the practice, or Jewish ones. It was kind of like a more of a secretive, not well known thing. And art is kind of unknown. We talked about this earlier when we studied Muslim art, how there's some debate whether or not it was okay to actually make art of the religions because some scriptural text says, thou shalt not make graven image or any likeness of what is in heaven or on earth and stuff like that, where people didn't really know, hey, is art okay or is it not? But even with that, we still do see a little bit. So this is one of the earliest known ones, and it's considered to be a depiction of Jesus healing the paralytic. The Bible story is he was like on a bed and lifted down through the roof of a building where Jesus was teaching at, and he healed them. That's one of the things he did, is heal a lot of like injured and unwell people. So that's kind of interesting. And of course, this painting isn't very detailed. It's a very rough, older type of painting. I'm gonna move on to the next little thing. Post-Constantinian. So earlier this was pre-Constantinian, and there's a reason why that's significant. Constantine was an emperor who kind of had Christianity legalized, or maybe it was more popularized, where before the age of Constantine, Christianity wasn't considered an okay religion. It was a little bit, frowned down upon and stuff like that. So this is some of the stuff that, like, after it was allowed, it kind of took off. It wasn't just allowed, it was encouraged to do that instead of the more traditional like Roman thing. So it became really popular in Rome and then the Byzantine Empire. So here's some of that artwork, and we are also talking about like what Jesus looked like versus what the art depicts. And in some of these, Jesus is known for, currently in modern depictions, he's known for having long hair and a beard. Um, and in these ones, this guy doesn't have a beard, neither does this one. This one does have a beard, which is really interesting how they kind of go into their own little depictions. And the depictions in the video that I referenced, one of the topics was how they kind of reflects different archetypes of like this person. Jesus could have had like some depictions have him younger without a beard, kind of like this one, more heroic, kind of reminiscent of like different types of stories that these people would have been familiar with. Um, characters like Dionysus, maybe David. So more younger type of heroes, where other ones would have been like older, wiser, like with the beard and stuff. It's reminiscent of characters like Jupiter and wise gods and stuff like kingly figures and stuff like that. He's also kind of viewed as a philosopher, so sometimes his hair is depicted all scraggly, kind of a wandering vagabond type character. So there's a lot of different things that people associate with him, and it also depended on like who the audience was, like who is being taught about Jesus. If a group of people is sharing about Jesus, like who are they teaching and what will appeal to them? We see it a lot with like Christian missionaries who are like sharing their religion with other religions. Um, you know, we know how like Christmas, the Christmas season has a whole like Yuletides kind of Scandinavian feel, but and it doesn't really make sense because it's a Christian holiday and Christianity originates like in the Middle East. So why is that? It's because missionaries going up to like Scandinavia and those areas brought their religion, but the original people living there who globbed onto the religion didn't want to let go of traditional holidays like Yuletide or solstice. So they decided to mix the holidays together. The same thing occurs with these figures like we like Jesus, but he's not familiar to us. We want him to look a little bit more like our gods. He's kind of like our Zeus or our Jupiter or whoever it is. And I think that's pretty neat. Um, Here's another interesting thing is the Shroud of Turin. And a lot of people believe that this Shroud of Turin, it's a piece of fabric that has the imprint of a man's body, and he's kind of like sitting like this. He's got his arms down here, his legs are straight, his eyes are kind of closed, and he's got long hair and a beard like Jesus. And many people believe this shroud to be Jesus, but it does date back to being discovered in 1535, which is interesting. Again, nobody knows for sure whether or not it is. I don't think it is, but many people do believe it, and I guess it is theoretically possible, but not actually. Some people think that this is why Christ had long hair and a beard, as it comes from this shroud, not just as like proof, but also, oh, this is what started it. It's true that the Christ with a beard became more popular after the Shroud of Turin kind of became mainstream in 1535. The earlier depictions, we saw one on the previous slide, that already had the long hair and a beard. Here are some other like later depictions after that, and we do see that beard became popularized, and some of the look became a lot more naturalistic. There's still some stylization, but there is a bit more naturalism and realism, and the long hair and the beard become more mainstream. Here's my evaluation, some kind of final thoughts. What Jesus actually looked like was also discussed in the video. What he most likely looked like, he probably, according to the styles of the time, it would have been short hair and a well-kept beard due to like what was common practice in the time and place where he lived. Other researchers debate that he was a Nazarite, which is a kind of group of people um, in the Jewish religion who would have made a covenant to keep their hair long, but also they weren't allowed to be around the dead or consume wine. And Jesus was around the dead when he healed them, and he did drink wine. So it's not very likely that he was a Nazarite, so it's also not likely he had long hair. But it's one of those things we don't know for sure, and it is really interesting to me what people think of it because it is such a prominent religion, and the depictions of Jesus there are so many dating way far back and also modern, and it's interesting to see how those change over time depending on a scenario. Like again, how we see they kind of appeal to different people who are familiar with gods, like their familiar deities or role models, like philosophers and stuff. I think we still see that today in depictions of Jesus and also other like religious examples where they are depicted in a kindly, sort of trustworthy manner because wit or powerful manner, just depending on the circumstance and who that character needs to be for the people of that religion. So I think that's really cool. And here are my references.